Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Report, coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Salia Stremska. The hearing for a Ukrainian diver wanted by Germany for his alleged role in the Nord Stream explosions has ended in Warsaw, with the court ruling against extradition. Earlier, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said it was not in Poland's interest to hand over the suspect, while the defense argued he would not receive a fair trial in Germany.
While Warsaw maintains that the decision to transfer Volodymyr Z to Germany rests solely with the courts, Prime Minister Donald Tusk stated earlier this month that extraditing Volodymyr Z would not serve Poland's interests.
It is certainly not in the interest of Poland or in the interest of a simple sense of decency and justice to accuse or hand over this citizen to another state.
The lawyer of Volodymyr Z denies the allegations, asserting that the defendant is innocent. He's also questioned whether a Ukrainian national damaging Russian property during an ongoing war should be treated as a criminal offense.
No Ukrainian citizen, in my view, in Europe, can be accused of destroying Russian property in this situation when his country is engaged in hostilities. Unfortunately, such charges have been brought.
The Nord Stream pipeline and its newer counterpart, Nord Stream 2, avoided Poland and the Baltic states, delivering Russian gas straight to Germany, highlighting Western Europe's resilience on Russian energy, which Warsaw strongly opposes. Donald Tusk has also said that the problem was not that the pipelines were blown up in September 2022, but that they were built at all.
Russia, with money from some European countries, German companies and Dutch companies, built Nord Stream 2 against the vital interests not only of our countries, but of all of Europe.
Also on Friday, former German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder, who alongside Vladimir Putin politically initiated the Nord Stream project back in 2005, is to be questioned in an inquiry committee regarding the construction of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. As for the 46 Ukrainian Volodymyr Z, he has been in custody in Warsaw since late September 2025.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is in Washington for another crucial meeting with Donald Trump. Zelenskyy is expected to push for the delivery of long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. The meeting comes just a day after Trump's 2-hour phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Our Europe correspondent Alex Kadier is in Kyiv and has more.
Well, the priority for President Zelenskyy in Washington, of course, will be to get more weaponry for his country to support the Ukrainian armed forces in their defense against Russia's invasion. Top of the list, of course, will be long-range weapons. Why? Well, because Russia has been attacking civilian infrastructure across this country for weeks. 6 major attacks since the start of October, targeting gas and electricity infrastructure, causing blackouts and real headaches when it comes to energy supply for the Ukrainians. So that will be a cause for concern. President Zelenskyy wants the ability to strike deeper into Russian territory, to perhaps push some of those jets used to bomb Ukrainian cities further back and target some military infrastructure in Russia, to give them a dilemma when it comes to striking Ukraine. That will be a big priority for President Zelenskyy, who has already met with US weapons manufacturers, including those who make the Patriot air defense system, because of course air defense is also very important. We've seen General Syrsky, the head of the armed forces here, saying that the air defenses in Ukraine were only 74% effective. President Zelenskyy, of course, wants that number to go up. He's in the US to try and get more support from the United States and to perhaps dissuade Donald Trump from paying too much attention to the warnings from the Kremlin. Still, a lot of pressure on President Zelenskyy. In Kyiv, I'm Alex Kadier for TVP World.
Ukraine is willing to offer its gas storage to American companies looking to expand its LNG exports into Europe. This is one of the offers Volodymyr Zelenskyy will put on the table during his Friday meeting with Donald Trump.
The president of Ukraine is traveling to Washington on Friday to drum up support for his country. To sweeten the deal, he's going to table some business proposals, like turning Ukraine into a gas hub for American LNG.
We have the biggest gas storage in Europe, the biggest. Many European countries stored gas, and we are ready to sign LNG contracts and make the storage available to other European Union countries. With pleasure. And I know that American partners are interested too in this market, and we are ready to cooperate with American partners, gladly.
Ukraine operates 10 natural gas storage sites across the country, with the biggest Bilchevolitsko-Uherske underground gas storage able to accommodate 17 billion cubic meters of the fuel, as much as Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia and Hungary combined. Altogether, Ukraine is able to store 31 billion cubic meters of natural gas, around 50% more than the country uses. Ukraine doesn't have its own LNG terminal yet, but it can use existing European facilities. The proposal itself is not new. Zelenskyy touted it during his previous visit to Washington in February.
We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe, yes. And we can use it for LNG, use it for LNG, and we will do it.
But that meeting didn't end well, so let's hope this time will be better.
We're going to feel very good. We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position.
About a possible Trump-Putin meeting in Hungary, Brussels is calling for caution. The summit isn't confirmed, and officials say it's too soon to speculate. If it does happen, the goal would be to end Russia's war on Ukraine without repeating past diplomatic mistakes. Let's bring in our EU correspondent Angela Skujins, who is live in Brussels. Good afternoon, Angela. So what are you hearing from officials on this potential meeting?
Yes, so on and off the record, what we're hearing is don't jump the gun. The European Commission spokesperson service, speaking on behalf of the EU executive, did say this afternoon that they welcome any meeting that progresses peace for Ukraine, aiming to halt that grinding Russian aggression entering its third year. However, they wouldn't comment further on the legal trappings of how Russian President Vladimir Putin's plane would actually land in Hungary, except for clarifying that it was up to member states to approve this measure if they wanted to. Journalists did ask the spokesperson service, what about that International Criminal Court ICC arrest warrant issued for Russian President Vladimir Putin? They say it was too early to speculate. We are also hearing from our own diplomatic sources here in the Belgian capital. They are cautioning substance over style, stating that they want this meeting to bear fruit. They don't want to repeat the same mistakes of that fateful summit in Alaska, which resulted in the red carpet being rolled out for Russian President Vladimir Putin, him being given a platform to speak to journalists, spreading his propaganda, and there being no good outcome when it comes to that Russian aggression there in Ukraine. Journalists, we did ask some of these diplomats regarding which country would open their airspace, allowing that plane to land. However, they did stress that they are allies of US President Donald Trump. They do not want to get in the way of these peace talks, but did quip that there is a reason that Hungary was selected, possibly to be this destination, as we know that the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is both an ally of US President Donald Trump and appears to be at least friendly with Russian President Vladimir Putin. But this is very much a developing news story, and as the comments roll in, we'll get them to you.
Angela Skujins reporting from Brussels. Much appreciated. French President Emmanuel Macron hosted European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen at the Élysée Palace on Friday. The meeting focused on Europe's continued support for Ukraine. Von der Leyen's visit to the French capital is meant to project unity as France pushes for a common stance on security guarantees for Kyiv. The two leaders are also set to discuss efforts aimed at strengthening cooperation among EU member states. The situation in the Middle East was also on the agenda, according to President Macron's office. The meeting between Macron and von der Leyen took place the same day US President Donald Trump is set to discuss the possible supply of Tomahawk missiles with President Zelenskyy, and comes ahead of possible Trump-Putin talks in Budapest in the next weeks. And now on to the latest from the world of culture. 11 pianists out of an initial 84 have advanced to the final round of the 19th International Chopin Piano Competition. Among the finalists is Polish pianist Piotr Aleksewicz.
And then there were 11. Following 3 rounds of the 19th International Chopin Piano Competition, a selection of the most successful performers qualified for the final stage, including
Piotr Aleksiewicz z Polski, from Poland.
Here, of course, we feel some sort of expectation that we are Poles and we should know how to play Chopin. Is it true? I don't know, because there are so many wonderful pianists who are not Polish and play Chopin beautifully.
Aleksiewicz is the only Pole to have reached the finals of the 2025 competition. He'll be competing against 3 pianists from China, 2 from Japan, 2 from the United States, as well as 1 pianist from Canada, Georgia, and Malaysia each. Although 10 pianists were supposed to advance to the final stage, 11 names were presented instead.
Because contestants in the 10th and 11th places had exactly the same result, down to 1/100th of a point.
Judging by the audience's enthusiasm in the last days, the finals are bound to be very exciting. Ahead of the performances of the 3rd stage, which wrapped up on Thursday evening, music aficionados were lining up outside the Warsaw Philharmonic, the competition venue, as early as 2 a.m.
We heard that you could stand out here in the cold for several hours and possibly get a ticket, so that's why we're here.
The finals are taking place from Saturday until Monday. On Friday, the pianists have a break between the 2 stages. That same day offers an opportunity to commemorate the 176th anniversary of the passing of the Polish composer.
Every edition on the 17th, there is an event in the Polish church, Świętego Krzyża. And this year's Vadim Hodenko will be performing.
The Ukrainian musician will perform Mozart's Requiem arranged for solo piano, reflecting Chopin's deathbed wish for the piece to be played at his funeral.
Climate change is affecting the entire planet, but some of its most dramatic effects can be seen in some of the world's most remote regions, such as the Arctic. We now go live to our correspondent Kazimierz Łysiak in Iceland, who is joined by a researcher preparing for an expedition to the Arctic. Good afternoon, Kazimierz. So who are you with and what's the goal of this mission?
Good afternoon, Sally. I am here with Marcel Babin, who is the director of the scientific programs for the Tara Polar Station, which you can see behind us. Marcel, welcome to TVP World. Can you tell us what's your mission? What are you planning to do in the Arctic?
Our plan is to deploy this platform that you see behind with 12 to 18 scientists during the coming 20 years in the central Arctic, close to the North Pole, on sea ice, to monitor the changes that are ongoing in the Arctic Ocean because of climate change and because of increasing human activity in general. And we will put a lot of focus in our scientific program on what's living in the Arctic Ocean. We will document biology in the atmosphere, in the snow, in the sea ice, and in the ocean, from viruses to bacteria, microalgae, small animals, up to fishes. And we will also try to determine the changes in the amount of pollutants being present in the Arctic oceans. We will look at mercury, for instance, micro and nanoplastics, and the possible impact of these pollutants on living organisms.
So this station is really kind of like a space station of its own, right? Like a self-sustaining village.
Absolutely. It's very much the same kind of concept with a small number of people, so 12 to 18 working for up to 40 different labs based on land. And these people will be like astronauts being trained at conducting measurements, collecting samples for all these different labs. It will be very, very intensive. The platform will be redeployed every second year for up to 16 or 18 months in the central Arctic, including during the polar winter. The rotation will take place every several months. The winter leg, the winter part, will last 8 months, so people will be on the station for 8 months in the polar nights, which will be very challenging. And then during the spring, summer, and fall, we will rotate the scientific team and the crew every 2 to 2.5 months.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Thank you so much, Marcel Babin, the Director of Scientific Programs for the Tara Polar Station. Thank you for being here with us. They will be monitoring climate change on this impressive vessel behind us. Back to you in the studio.
Kazimierz Łysiak reporting from Iceland. Thank you so very much for this report. And with this, we conclude our news update. Thank you for watching and please stay tuned for more.